So, welcome everyone to today's little talk. I've got someone who I've been in contact with for quite a few years now, Byron Morrison, who has an amazing new book out, which is called Maybe You Should Give Up: 7 Ways to Get Out of Your Own Way and Take Control of Your Life, which is being released today. We'll have the link to check that out, as well as his website, his courses. But he is a best-selling author. He has multiple other books, a mindset and performance coach, and he really helps people with this topic, which I'm also passionate about, which is self-sabotage. He has lots of great ideas and works kind of with CEOs, entrepreneurs, business leaders all over the world, and helps them reach their full potential. So welcome, Byron, and thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, thank you for having me here today. I'm really excited to speak to you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're so passionate about this field of self-sabotage and persistence and getting things done.
Yeah, well, for most of my life, I always felt like I was my own worst enemy. Like I had big goals and dreams. I wanted to do something that mattered, but I just seemed to always get in my own way. Like I knew what I needed to do, but I just wasn't following through. And at a point about a decade ago in my life, I was overweight, I was burnt out, I was stuck in a job that was killing me. And every single day was just this battle to get through. And then my dad got cancer. And during his treatment, he had most of his bowels surgically removed, and he spent 25 days in ICU, most on life support and breathing through a tracheostomy. And luckily pulled through, which is something I'm eternally grateful for. But that for me was the wake-up call that something had to change. And I wish I could sit here and say that overnight everything magically got better. But for the next couple of years, I seemed to constantly take 1 step forward and 2 steps back. And it was so frustrating because I just couldn't stick to the things that I wanted and that I kept telling myself I needed to get done. And eventually I just reached a point where I was like, I need to figure out what's going on. So I spent the next few years studying everything from psychology to mindset, why we think and behave the way that we do. And in doing so, I uncovered that the biggest barrier in my way was myself. It was that sabotaging voice that was causing me to overthink, to doubt myself. And it was really messing up everything from my relationships to my health, my professional success. And it was only when I learned to change the way that I think that I could change my life. And this is why I've been so passionate over the last few years of helping other people, because I actually spoke to a PR company recently and I shared the story with the owner, and he sat there and was like, oh, this is great, but I've heard more inspiring stories. I was like, that's the entire point. Like my journey is not like a David Goggins where you hear it and you're like, that's incredible, but I could never do that. Like I was just a normal guy who knew he was meant for so much more and made a decision to turn it around. And that's why I believe if I can do it, that other people can as well. And that's really why I do the work that I do, to help push others to get out of their own way.
Yeah, amazing. And I think, we all go through self-sabotage. I think it's and it's like a cycle. Sometimes it's like in one area of your life and other ones are going fine, but for some reason you as you said, you're the problem. I'm the problem. Isn't that a Taylor Swift song? Anyways, but yeah, I think it's interesting that when you really dig in and look, you can find some of the reasons why. Can you tell us what you found are kind of some of the common reasons people are self-sabotaging with yourself and people that you work with? I'm sure we'll all see ourselves in this.
Yeah, the reason, anyone listening to us right now, what you need to understand is the reason why you self-sabotage and get in your own way is all down to the way that your unconscious mind has been wired. Like you see, your brain's been wired for quantity of life. And what that means is that it wants to survive. It doesn't want to thrive. It wants to keep everything the same types of relationships, the same amount of weight on your body, the same amount of wealth, happiness, and joy. It wants to keep everything the same because everything in your past has been survived, meaning it's far safer than anything new, as your goals, your dreams, your aspirations, they're all new, meaning they bring with them an inherent risk. And this is why, even though you might be feeling unhappy right now, you might be stuck or unfulfilled, your brain takes comfort in what it knows. And this is why whenever you do try and change or move forward, its defense mechanism is to fill your head with all of these sabotaging thoughts. What if you fail? What if you're not good enough? What if you get rejected? It puts all these mental barriers in your way because it wants to stop you from taking action. And this is why you can see, like, the reason why you haven't been able to get the results you want in your life is not your fault. Like, it's down to the way your brain's been wired. But this is also why you're never going to be able to take control of the life that you want until you train your brain to really start breaking through those mental barriers and actually start changing the way you think.
Yeah, I think you've given us a lot of ideas of what might be happening, and I'm sure people listening can relate to some of those. Can you talk us through some of the ones, for example, like postponing happiness, which is, I know you mentioned in your book as one of the reasons why people just say, oh, I'll be happy, when I graduate, when I get married, or whatever it is. Can you talk a little bit about that one?
Yeah, it goes back to, again, to the way that our brains cause us to think, because we all have this tendency to convince ourselves that some achievement in the future is going to bring happiness. But one big thing I've learned in my own life is that happiness doesn't come from some end result somewhere in the future. Instead, it comes from the journey, and the journey takes place in the present. But because we're in such a rush to get to where we want to be, we're always putting it off and delaying that happiness and gratification because we convince ourselves that something's missing that's stopping us from being happy right now. And the reason why this is so important to understand is you're never going to get to where you want to be. Like, whatever goals you have right now, as soon as you get close, that goal line's going to move. And that's why all you're doing is just constantly moving the bar. And it's why a lot of the time we feel unfulfilled. But to make matters worse, we're also our own worst enemies, in the sense that we say to ourselves that once we reach that next goal, that next milestone, then we'll take time off. We'll be more present with our family. We'll focus on our health. But isn't that what you said the last time and the time before
Right.
that? So we just fall into this never-ending cycle of putting off the things that truly matter. And this is why it's so important to start actually recognizing what's going on. It's like overcoming your reasons why it can't be done, making it a priority, making a decision that this is the life that you want to live, and giving yourself permission to start feeling more moments, to be more connected, and slow down and enjoy life. Like, that's ultimately what it's all about.
Yeah, exactly. All goes by. As for me, it feels like it's getting faster and faster the older that I get. So we really have to take those moments. What about fear? And a lot of people think fear of failure, but a lot of times it's also fear of success, right? Can you talk a little bit
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah, section 2 in the book is all about fear, because I found that the biggest thing holding people back from the life they want is that fear of what's going to go wrong, whether it's failure, rejection, judgment, or, as you said, success. And we build it up in this mind as this huge catastrophe, to the point that often it paralyzes us and stops us from taking action. And that's why what the book does is it's all about helping you first become aware of where that fear is actually coming from. Because if you don't know what you're afraid of, you're just going to be avoiding things without really understanding why. But then what it does is it then shifts the focus and tips the fear in the other direction. Rather than getting
Mhm.
you to focus on what's going to go wrong, it gets you to start focusing on what are you going to miss out on if you don't go after it? What's going to happen if you reach the end of your days and you look back never having gone after your dreams? What's going to happen if you reach the end of the month and you can't provide for your family because you didn't take action in your business? Like, it's all about making the fear or the pain that comes along with it more painful if you don't follow through. Then all of a sudden it becomes easier to take action. Then you're like, okay, I don't want that to happen, I need to do this. Because a lot of the time when you take that first step, you see it's not actually that bad. It's how you start to build your confidence, you get momentum, and you start getting out of your own way. So it's all about just having that internal shift that pushes you to follow through.
Right. And what would you say are, for people listening, what are some kind of simple things that they could put into place today? First of all, to be aware of their self-sabotaging behaviors, and then, some steps they can take to kind of change that, besides buying your book, of course.
Yeah, the first one I always advise to people is that the biggest reason most people don't achieve their goals is they focus too much on what they want and they don't figure out who they need to become to make it happen. And the reason why this is so important is every new level of success requires a new level of you, which is why your current habits, your behaviors, your way of doing things that got you to where you are isn't going to get you to the next level. If anything, this is the exact reason why you're stuck. And this is why you need to take some time today to think about, okay, this is the vision for the life that you want to create. Who's the version of you that made it happen? Like, get a mental image in your mind of what that person looks like, and then ask yourself, what did they do every single day? What non-negotiables did they follow through with? What habits did they develop? This is going to allow you to reverse engineer it, and you can figure out a blueprint and be like, this is exactly how I need to start spending my days to get to where I want to be. And then in times when it comes down to following through, instead of relying on willpower or motivation or hoping you feel like it, you've got to ask yourself in those situations, what would the person I want to do right now? Would they procrastinate and put it off, or would they push themselves to take action? And this is applicable to every area of your life, whether it's hitting the gym, speaking up in that meeting, having that tough conversation. Whenever you're in a situation where you have that internal resistance, which is your self-sabotage, you need to take how you feel out of it and be like, okay, what would the person I want to become do right now? And without thinking about it, just push yourself to take that action. Because when you start showing up as that person you want to become, that's how you'll start changing your life. You'll start developing new thought processes. You'll start actually getting confidence that change is possible. And you'll start making decisions based on your future self, which is going to get you close towards where you want to be. So that's something that anyone right now can start doing today. It's just get clarity on who you need to become, and then figure out what did they do to actually make it happen.
Yeah, awesome. And I know you go into all of this in detail in the book. Where can people find the book? I guess I know it's on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles and things. Any other places they should look?
Yeah, basically it's available anywhere that you can get books. So whether that's Amazon, Waterstones, Barnes and Noble, Books A Million, like if it sells books, they've got it.
Yeah.
And we're also, for the next week as well, doing a special where the ebook's only 99 cents, and that's on like Kobo, Kindle, Nook, and all of the
Right.
places. And like if anyone does grab a copy, I'm also giving free access to the audio book and the Next Level You video series, which is worth $57. All you have to do is just go on my website and send me a message, and I'll get all that sent across.
Yeah, awesome. So great. Well, just before we finish today, is there any last message you want to send out to the audience?
Yeah, the big overarching theme of my message and the work that I do is just getting people to recognize like what they're actually doing on a day-to-day basis. Because if I look back on my own journey after my dad's cancer, one of the biggest realizations I had is how much of my life I wasted watching from the sidelines. And the harsh reality I uncovered is that far too many people are going to wake up at 65. They're going to look back at the life that they could have lived, the chances they didn't take, and they're going to be thinking, what if? And that's why, for me, what scares me far more than failure, than rejection, than not getting it right, is regret. And that's why I urge anyone listening to us right now, do not let your life be defined by regret. I know your goals and dreams are scary, but you are far more capable than you're giving yourself credit for. And when you start putting yourself out there, you're going to start really seeing who you can become. So stop waiting and start actually going for it.
Wow, very motivating, very exciting. I've started reading the book, and highly recommend it. It's got great practical examples, and talks about different people that like Elon Musk and other people and how they've pushed through different sabotaging behaviors in their lives. So highly recommend that everyone picks up a copy, and all these great bonuses are amazing as well. So congratulations again, Byron, and thanks for coming on and for sharing with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me and letting me come on and share the message and talk about it. Like, yeah, I'm so excited for people to see it. So thank you.